Welcome, guys. My name is Paola from Taylor High School with AMP News. Today, we're going to be talking about social media and how social media could be affected in the good and the bad. Today, joining me today, I have Sky, Donnie, and Ulysses. I feel like social media could be used with a lot of information that they could put out for like the good of what the weather is or like what's happening across the countries. So Sky, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, do you be on social media?
Absolutely. I really do love social media. I love, how far it's come since the beginning. Social media, especially the different platforms are just unique in their own right and they're just very, helpful in their own ways.
I agree. I totally agree. Donnie, tell me, do you be on social media?
I all the time. I like being on social media. I use it because I like to entertain myself with what's going around and the trends that be happening every now and then. It's pretty fun.
I agree with that. I like the trends. I be hopping on every trend that is
They be
possible.
Yeah.
Ulysses, tell me, do you be on social media?
Yes, I use it just for entertainment and usually to talk to friends or family, even most of the time for entertainment only.
Mm.
Okay, Sky, so tell me, you said you like to be entertained. What platforms do you use to be entertained by?
Okay, so I use two main ones. One being TikTok, another being Twitter. Twitter mainly because they just be having some crazy people on there. It'd be funny. And TikTok, I just feel like TikTok is more of what Instagram used to be to me. So it's just more versatile and I can use it for different things.
I agree with that. And what was the first platform you touched?
The first one I'd have to say is YouTube. I don't know if you guys consider YouTube like a social media platform,
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't consider it because you're not personally on it, like you don't got an
Yeah.
account or whatever. But YouTube would be my first platform.
Okay. Danny, I would like to ask you, what was the first social media platform you came across?
The first social media platform that I used was Instagram. Since I was young and I would like to get in it, I like to see what people be posting, get up to date to what they're doing. That was my
Yeah.
first social media.
Okay, and that was the first platform you said?
The first platform, yeah.
And what made you realize Instagram was a thing? Like, how did you hear about it? Like, how did you know that app even existed?
Oh, all my friends had it, so they're like, "Oh, you should get it, and follow me and this and that." And
Yeah,
so,
for the followers
Yeah.
and the numbers.
2016 through 2018 was like the best time to be on Instagram.
Yeah, I agree. Ulysses, what was the first platform you touched?
I was gonna say for Sky, since she mentioned YouTube, that was the first, I would say, platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is for media since everyone can upload anything there, but YouTube was the first thing I downloaded and came across with for to be entertained.
And how did you hear about YouTube?
Just many people around kept telling me like, oh, like you saw this video on YouTube, you saw this one, and I was like,
Yeah.
YouTube?
Mhm.
Yeah,
so-
and around when I was younger, everybody was like, Jake Paul this, Jake Paul that, like the
Yeah.
music video.
Yeah.
So I feel like, yeah, I would agree with that. Sky, I'm going to ask, how do you think social media has affected your life?
Really, I don't want to I'm not saying I'm ashamed to say this, but social media has really shaped my personality. It's really helped me become who I am because I get a lot of my personality traits from things I've seen off the internet and because I like certain things. I'd be like, oh, I want to copy that. Let me incorporate that into who I am as a person. So
I agree.
I feel like that's how it's changed me.
Donnie, how do you think social media has impacted you?
For me, I like to see what people think, to hear what their thoughts are on certain topics, right? And I would get
Mhm.
information from that, and I would always keep an open mind. That's what it has helped me be more open to what people think about certain topics. It has helped me with my creativity whenever I need to work on an art piece or something like that. It has helped me find the type of art that I like to do.
Perfect. Ulysses, tell me, how do you think or why do you think social media is important?
It shapes one person, perhaps, in many ways. Yeah, there may be some negative facts, some negative ways that might affect somebody, but there's also positive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like how Donnie said it. It can change one from, let's say, art, right? They can get inspired. They can get ideas from this one person who did art, like from who knows how they did it, right?
Yeah, I pick up from there.
You can make it your own. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty nice. Also, how would you say, or what information could you gather from social media?
It's mainly from whatever's happening around the world, right? Such as, like, there's one that's going around and then a lot of mainly teenagers would get from. I just can't put my finger on it. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but mainly it's a certain fact that many are getting today, if that made sense.
Sky, I wanted to ask you, how do you think social media has changed your perspective of real life?
Okay, so when I was younger, I feel like I had a very limited scope. So like I didn't know a lot about anything because I was just so sheltered. So I feel like when I was younger, I was a lot more intolerant of a lot of things. But now that I've like been introduced to like past what I live around, like I know what's outside of my house, what's outside of Houston.
Yeah.
So like I've become like more tolerant to like people's, I guess, racial views or things of that nature. Like I'd be ready to argue with somebody over the little thing.
Danny, I'm gonna ask you the same question. How do you think social media has changed your point of view of the real world?
Well, without social media before, I went through a lot, and I used to think that I was the only one that was going through it. But in social media, you can see that you're not the only one, and there's a lot of people around the world that have been or has been through the same thing as you, and they can help you out. And I feel like that's something that has shaped me as a person, because now I don't feel alone in the world. Yeah.
I agree with that. I feel like social media could be a good and a bad for that same cause because, you could get so much hate on social media, but you could also get so much love and like support from other people throughout social media.
Yeah.
Ulysses, I want to ask you, what has social media changed or like your perspective of the real world?
I'm gonna have to go with what Donnie said. It's true, since one would think, oh, I'm doing this. Maybe I'm the only one doing this, and then you see other people doing the same thing you're doing. So it's like it amazes one person. Like, wow, I thought I was the only one.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sky, how do you think you as a person would be if social media didn't exist?
When I was younger, we were outside. Like, I don't know what people be talking about. Something like, oh, you guys are always on the phone. Like, we were outside. We were playing around. So, if I continued on that path, I feel like I'd be more of like an outdoorsy person. I'd be like less to myself. I feel like I'd be more extroverted. Being on social media definitely keeps me to myself because like I could say whatever I want to say through my phone or through like a platform or whatever. So it would definitely probably have pushed me out more, and I would have been more, ready to be in the world.
I agree. When I was younger, I also used to be outside like 24/7, no shoes.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I probably would have been that nature person. Like I probably would like to go hiking every day in the morning. Like, let's go,
Yeah.
So, Danya, same question.
For me, I feel like the same thing. I probably would be an extroverted person. I'd be more loud about my opinions towards things.
Yeah.
Right now, because of social media, I like to stay silent because, anything you say could cancel you.
Yeah.
Used against you.
But if social media wasn't a thing, I'd probably speak out more my opinion about things.
Yeah.
I agree with that. What about you?
Same thing. It would change a lot more if that one canon event didn't happen with social media.
Yeah.
I like to call it canon since if it didn't happen, then it would have been different. But it did happen, so
But I honestly think it depends like what platform you grew up on. Like if you grew up like on like a platform like Reddit or whatever, like people they'd just be saying anything on there. So
Exactly.
like, I feel like it just depends on where you were on the internet.
True. Right.
Yeah, I also feel like, growing up, I kind of used to watch like more TV. Like I was on TV, Disney Channel, all that
Yeah.
type of shows. So I feel like if social media technically never existed, I would personally feel like I would want to be like a princess or something like
Yeah.
that fairy tale, or like, like what you see is probably what you
Yeah.
wanted to pick up on. How do you think social media has emotionally affected you?
Emotionally, I've always been an emotional person, so I feel like social media now that it's like it's not like an outlet for me to let out my emotions because like people get made fun of for doing that, but I just feel like it's turned me on to things that make me more emotional.
Yeah, okay.
For me, it has turned me off. I used to be more expressive, but I feel like social media made me become less open to what I feel. Mainly because usually people always be saying a lot of negative stuff. So like for example, oh, I fell in love, this and that, but heartbreak comes, right?
Yeah.
Or you're happy and this is awesome, but then downfall comes your way. And so I feel like maybe if I don't feel as much, I will be prepared for the worst.
I agree
So,
with that.
yeah.
Also, like, how do you think you can manage that type of hate, or like people critiquing you in a way that, like, why would you say that to me? How do you manage that?
Like I said,
You
like
avoid
it's like
it.
my emotions are kind of mellow, like very low. So if anyone ever tells me anything negative or talks bad about me, I just dismiss it, or I'm like, whatever.
Do you ever feel like you could be like, well, I know myself, or you don't know me? Do you feel like you could stand up, or would you just let that situation be and walk away?
I feel like if it's not hurting me, then I'll let it slide. I'm like, whatever. This I don't
But
care.
I feel like on the internet, it's always important to address something because, like, if you don't want that narrative of whatever somebody was saying just to float around the internet, and you just be like, oh well. So
Yeah, no, I also feel like it depends as well. Like, if you're talking mess about, like, my mom, like, whoa, like, you don't even know my mom. Like, let's
Right.
be
Yeah.
cool
You gotta
here.
take action at that point.
There's
Yeah.
There's-
But if this, like, mess about my hair, like, oh, you didn't do your hair this morning, girl, fix it. No, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like it also depends on what was being said.
What's the situation?
Yeah.
So, Ulysses, how has social media emotionally affected you?
Emotionally, well, I would say by a lot it has affected. I used to, before social media, like how you three mentioned, it used to be super different. I used to always be more of an energetic person, a more of like outsider instead of like being indoors all the time. And nowadays it's like I'm trying to get back to being more of an outsider than more of like staying indoors. Although it's quite the challenge almost, even though the easiest thing that you can do is just put the phone down and just walk away from it.
Not for
But-
me. Not for,
but I
itching to take
understand.
my phone back up.
I understand that it is difficult for all of us because without our phones, we would, go crazy. We would end up being like, I'm, it's like a need.
Like for
So,
some reason you feel disconnected from
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
when you put your phone down. I feel like that's the problem, and why many people just need to have their phone by their sides, because just in case anyone is out there reaching for me, I'm here to pick up the phone.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree with that. So basically, like, we have said the goods and the bad of social media and how it's created ourselves as the person we are today. In conclusion, social media has goals, good and bad, every day in our lives. How do you think that social media, like, what if the phones were just like not even a
Never
real thing?
existed.
It was just like computers. And how do you think you would like work with that? Like, if it was just computers, the old-fashioned cameras,
Right.
what if it just never upgraded or never or nobody ever touched to like upgrade the system, how do you think society would be today if nothing was upgraded?
Well, I feel like everybody reflects on that because it's such a nostalgic time, and like they're like, "Oh, it was so good back then." We didn't have this, we didn't have that. But like if you really think about it, like the world was in real life shambles back then. Like people are in cults and stuff. Like I'm not saying that's not real now, but like people they were brainwashed. Like I feel like social media has opened up doors to like new information, but if it wasn't like a real thing, I feel like society would have gotten progressively worse.
I agree. I feel like I could agree with that just
That's
because
nice.
social media has more information
Yeah.
than like if it wasn't, someone would just hold that information
Yeah.
and you would have never known. What about you? How do you think that would have?
Without no phones,
Yeah.
only computers, I feel like a lot of people just be on the computers, but usually computers are used to inform yourself about something than it is to look around
Get
to
a
entertain
hold.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if there were no phones and only computers, I feel like people would probably just go for it for information.
Mm-hmm.
And what about you, Ulysses?
If we didn't have any phones, I think we would just, like how Donnie said. Donnie mentioned about just news and stuff, or maybe information, but we would also get the information from like newspapers.
Mm,
Since that's how they used to do it. They used to deliver newspapers to your home like through bicycles.
Mm-hmm.
So either we would get our news from newspapers or information from our computers. That's about it.
I agree with that.
So you guys think that technology would have been like purely informational? Like there'd be no way to like
If they never created platforms like YouTube and or Netflix or stuff like that, then probably.
More than likely, yeah.
Okay, so in conclusion, to conclude and close this podcast out, that was our conversation with social media with Sky, Donnie, and Ulysses. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, bye.
This has been an AMP production.